Welcome to the Marketing Meeting podcast. I'm happy to host Ashley Gross today. Ashley is an AI marketing strategist and the founder of the Prompt community. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We did all the interesting bagel and pizza talks about New York yesterday. Because I usually start my episodes with something about life or so on. So that I think today is left for discussing AI and marketing. I'm sorry about that.
Please, because my stomach's going to start growling if you do this to me again. It's not fair that you live in New York and you're talking about food.
Although I mean, like at the end, I usually ask about coffee, which is a good time of the day, I guess. But I will again also leave it to the end. Thanks for joining me today. There are two reasons that I wanted to talk to you. One of them is your AI, like your LinkedIn profile says, build your business in 10 days using AI. But also just before that, I also saw that you as a marketer, you started working in AI tools a few years ago and you already successfully launched AI initiatives on those days. So it's not about talking on a theoretical basis, but you also have a hands-on execution experience. Can you tell me a bit about how did you make the switch from working as a marketer in a company to building your own company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say in 2020, I started using generative AI. I was using Jasper, and back then it was called Jarvis. And I think just because I didn't have a technical background, I was more willing to try these tools. I really went in with specific problems, right? Like I knew I was going to be a mom soon and I knew I was going to be, lacking time. And I really wanted to find a way to make my schedule go from 40 hours to 15 hours. And I successfully did that. And so then in 2022, I started working for Commerce Tools, or maybe I started working a little early. It's all like a little bit of a time warp now that I'm a founder. But in 2022, the CMO approached me and she was like, hey, everybody knows you're using AI. You talk about it all the time. You're really excited about this. Would you want to try rolling out a few LLMs, to our marketing org? And this was pre-chat GPT, before the boom happened. And so I was like, yes, absolutely. I have just always been taught to say yes. That's kind of how you get opportunities until you have to say no. And that's a beautiful problem to have. So I raised my hand and just said, yes, I'll figure it out as I go. And again, I didn't have a technical background. So how that unfolded was I just went to every department and I was like, hey, what do you not like about your job? And, marketers, we have a million things that we're tasked with every single day. So everyone was not shy about it. And I said, okay, great. We're going to figure out a way to speed that workflow up, but not change the workflow so that there's still a human in the loop. And so long story short, 3 months after implementing 5 LLMs, we overachieved our marketing pipeline of 90 million and hit 115 million. And so I had 25 AI use cases that were amazing, but I think just having that be translated into revenue really drives the whole impact. And so I saw that and I was like, wow, this is bananas. But I was also like, who would benefit the most from this is entrepreneurs and small business owners. And, even having, I think I have like 35 AI certifications. Like I really went into the research portion of this when I got the volunteer gig. Even having all those certifications and the training and the learning and development budget, I still realized that there was a lack of, accessible and affordable education, but also with a community component. And when you're talking about something like generative AI, this is drastically changing the workforce. And so kind of going at this alone is very exhausting. It's isolating, and it doesn't really do a good job about demystifying the fear of it. You have to have a community of people that are aligned on the same mission of like, okay, we don't know what we're doing, but we're going to figure it out, right? So I wanted to create my own community. And I did. And so I created the Prompt community and I kept it affordable and accessible. And it's filled with amazing people learning AI. And AI founders come in every week and they talk to us about the data and privacy policies behind their tools. And then they give everyone in the community free access for a week to their tools. So I was really happy about that. And then obviously I couldn't stop there, right? Like impulse control is not my thing. And I thought, okay, cool. Now I have a blueprint. I built this business in 10 days. It was generating $10,000 in monthly recurring revenue on day like 32 or 33. I was like, this is a blueprint. I need to get this out now. This is my next baby that I'm going to push out. And so I had a course built called How to Build a Business Using AI in 10 days. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's live right now. There's another cohort in August, but it was really just kind of looking at the lens of, okay, this is Ashley as a marketer using AI. Now this is Ashley, as an AI task force member and the generative AI strategist rolling out AI. And now it's just like, here's Ashley as an entrepreneur trying to help other entrepreneurs, right? It's kind of like this butterfly effect.
It's amazing to hear that you take the effort to just educate yourself so much after even having all those experiences. I mean, you could have easily relied on those experiences as a marketer in a company and then build your own system, but you didn't stop there, which is amazing. But when I read the "Build Your Business in 10 Days Using AI," it sounds very easy and practical. Although, I mean, like those 10 days, are they going to be like hell or heaven? So, I mean, can you tell us about like a step-by-step example of like how that framework or blueprint looks like?
Sure. So basically, when I was looking at how to do this, I wanted to find patterns. And so I started doing some research, right? Surprise, surprise, more research. And I ended up finding out that the main three reasons why businesses fail to start, right? Like why startups don't start, is lack of business plan, poor marketing, and a mix of lack of skills or lack of finances and being able to find both. And so I really just looked at this as like, okay, anybody can build a business. But if you ask me to go fill out a trademarking form online, I need an encyclopedia to understand everything that's like going on in that form in order to fill it out. It's not accessible. But if I break down this course into 10 days with 10 modules and I give it to them in bite-sized lessons that add up to their ultimate goal, then they don't even realize the amount of work they're doing because they're doing it in components. So I'll just give you like a walkthrough of maybe just one prompt and one outcome per day. Would that be okay?
Oh yeah, one prompt. Yeah, perfect.
So
that would be like heaven.
okay, good, good. So on day one, it's idea generation and validation. And so one of the first prompts we do is I take them through a prompt exercise where in 3 prompts, we end up going through all of their job history, what jobs they liked, finding the skills, hard and soft, from those, and then applying those skills and what they really enjoyed about those jobs and finding business ideas for them and saying, like, okay, you have ideas, which one excites you and why does it excite you? Okay, great. Do you like this idea? Because most of the time, the first idea is not the best idea. And it just kind of gets them like thinking about what they're already good at that they might not have thought about before. And then we go validate that idea. So we use AI tools to do competitive analysis and market research and figure out what's out there and what competitors are out there. And we analyze their whole entire website, all of their backlinks, all of their SEO with AI first. And we're able to come up with a whole entire blueprint and have every single header and keyword and everything that they're using to be able to say, oh wow, okay, so like our idea really would work, and here's the different countries that they're not marketing to, and here's where their traffic's coming from. And we're able to validate those ideas so much faster. So then day 2 is market research, right? So analyze the market trends and competitor landscape for your business idea and identify the competitors and the target audience and the demographics and the market needs. These are like 2 or 3 prompts, by the way. So like, I know it sounds like hell to your point, but like these are 2 or 3 prompt exercises. And then there's, once you get the idea out, then we keep going. And so day 3, it's help me draft a mission statement and a vision statement and describe the business structure and operations, and then tell me how I should talk about it to other people in a way that makes my messaging super clear. Well, that's PR, but they don't know that that's PR because they're just doing the exercise and it's broken down into little modules that are understandable and digestible. And so from there, we just go to, product and service description. They build out an MVP, they prototype it, they figure out the AI tools that can get them to product market fit before they create a product, during the product, and then after, in order to iterate it and make sure that they continue to have a good product market fit. From there, it's sales and marketing plan and being able to create storytelling with the content and relaying that back to your product, because the landscape's really different today as far as marketing and sales go. And you do need to have visibility, especially as a founder. And then after that, it's, we're creating a financial plan and we're creating SMART goals and operational planning and, marketing materials and launch preparation. And before you know it, right, like we break all this stuff up and it's fun and we're playing around with tools and we're figuring out what we can automate and how scrappy we can be. But at the end of this, They have a business plan with
Mhm.
financial projections, with an MVP, with SMART goals. So they can either, after this course, immediately go take that and try to raise funds, and they have everything in there all ready to go.
Mhm.
Or they can just decide to sit and start this slowly on their own and see how far they get, not raising money and bootstrapping it. And because they feel empowered and they're like, oh, wow, like if you would have told me that I have to create a business plan with financial projections and it's got to have this, this, and this, I would have been like, I can't do this. But I did it. So it's
Mhm.
empowering.
While you are walking them through all these steps of,
Yeah.
ideation, finding the idea, and building the like minimum viable product and so on, what tools do you use working with them?
So many tools. So we
So it's
have
not like just you just work with generative AI, one of the generative AI tools, and that's it, or yeah, a mix
no,
of.
a mix, definitely a mix. I'm really big on security. I don't think that's something that, we should always or really ever brush through. So the course is really it's strategic. So I'll give you a great example. They learned last night about automations. And I hear a lot of people, intertwine AI with automations. And sometimes the automations are coming from an LLM, right? But sometimes they're not, and it has two
Mhm.
different meanings. So they actually learn the difference between the two. And then we look at, okay, what are three automations that you probably already using that you might not have thought of as automations?
Mhm.
Calendly, Beehive, wherever you have your newsletters coming from, or your email marketing, and then Wave, that's financials. So you can automatically schedule out invoices. So if you're a contractor or a business owner and you have to pay or get paid the same price and the same frequency, you can schedule that so that you're not going to miss a paycheck or you're not going to miss paying people just because it's a manual task. You can automate that. So we just take a lot of the fear out of it by saying, like, this is what it is. And you don't have to automate your whole business. You actually shouldn't. But
Mhm.
here's the reasons why business owners fail. And here's all the tools that are going to prevent you from failing. So you don't have to worry about failing anymore. So guess what? We're not going to be afraid anymore. We're going to figure out what we're good at, what we're not good at. And then we're going to use AI to bridge the gap between those skills that we need.
Mhm, mhm. While you are helping these entrepreneurs, like there's a question that I want to ask because you mentioned that some businesses will fail, not business, business ideas, but also some of the implementations will fail. Is there a reason, is there a common challenge that you see in entrepreneurs failing or failing to automate or failing to implement AI into their practices?
Yes, I would say 70% fear of the unknown, 30% just lack of skill and lack of curiosity. It doesn't, it's not hard, but you do have to be motivated, and that's something that nobody can teach you. You have to intrinsically be motivated to figure it out. And I think a lot of people don't really think about, how do they learn, right? How you learn is completely different than how I learn. If
Yeah.
we were to talk about going back to, school age, right? Maybe we were in the same class and you could listen to the same lecture I did, and then you wouldn't have to study and you could come to class the next day and ace that pop quiz. That is not me. I was the flashcards. I had, my siblings going back and forth with me, quizzing me. Like, I had multiple different ways of learning in order for me to actually retain that information. It's the exact same thing with LLMs. You have to figure out why you want to learn it and then find the use cases that you're excited about. And you also have to approach LLMs with a problem. You can't look for a shiny sticker because it's not going to be there.
From there, I would like to switch to one other topic because I know that you use 12 custom GPTs to run your business. I'm not sure if that number has changed since then, but I would like to ask you your top three AI tools and platforms out of those 12, because 12 is a very high number actually. If you are using 12, like for me, it's probably two.
So, what are my favorite GPTs out of those 12?
GPTs and also maybe like platforms that you use.
Oh, I have so many favorite AI tools. So many. I've vetted 167 AI tools.
Oh.
So I have so many that I love. I would say, okay, so as far as my favorite GPTs, I think my PR GPT is probably my favorite. I'm bootstrapping my own business, so I have to be really scrappy. And if you catch me at 7 a.m. and you ask me what's my story, what's my mission, it's going to be elegant and put together. But if you catch me at 8 p.m., it might be rushed and hurried. And like I might miss my shot at getting a visibility moment. And so I like the PR GPT just because it always kind of holds me accountable. and it makes me a better storyteller. So every time I think I have a good storyline or, a good one pager for PR, it's like, well, if you said this or if you brought this up, and all that looked like training it was saying, here's all of the experience that shaped me to be where I am right now and what motivates me. So that's probably my favorite GPT. And then as far as my favorite tools go, Zekin is a really amazing marketing tool. I've been a marketer for 10 years, so I can't help myself. It's one of my favorite AI tools. It's really, really cool because it solves the problem of not having visibility into like who's visiting your website, right? Like I have spicy thoughts whenever it comes to like the marketing metrics that we focus on, because it drives me crazy when we're like, top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. And it's like, well, who the heck cares? Do they want to buy? Like, are they in our ICP and do they want to buy our product? Because those are the people I want to come to my website. I don't care about any of the other stuff. And that's what Zekin does. They embed a link in any image or video that you choose, and you can distribute it on blog sites, on social media channels, and your prospective customers just have to click on it, and it leads them back to your website where you can then collect their data and learn from them and see like, okay, like it was somebody from the enterprise world and somebody with this title and they're coming from here. And I'm like, okay, great. My messaging is starting to, get to CROs. Wonderful. I'm learning something. I'm improving. I have visibility into the data. So that's a tool that I love.
It's more of an analytics tool, I guess, right? In that case.
Yes. Yes.
It sounds like it's kind of a cookie that follows you everywhere type style, right?
Yes, but yes and no. I would say it's more of like a lead gen magnet. So the cookies it's not really using. It's more so just when you click on the image and it takes them to the site, they're staying on the site longer because you have, like if you would go into HubSpot and create multiple landing pages based on different personas. If I have a certain image or a certain video, I can tag it on my website and say, CROs. I want this image to resonate with CROs. And then on the back end, it will show the people that are getting brought to my website with this lead magnet, my internal HubSpot page for CROs. So when they get there, they're like, whoa, the image was cool. The website's cool. The messaging's for me. Like, I'm going to hang out for a little while longer. And they don't just bounce because they're not seeing what they want. And then I get to learn more about them. They'll probably convert quicker. Then I get to see what they're interested in. It just opens up more doors in a more ethical, transparent way.
Perfect. The other day, I saw your video. I think I told you yesterday as well. I saw your video about creating your own GPT for your brand and then using it for your social media communication. Can you talk about that a bit? I know that it's not easy to explain it when you don't have a screen, but it was like I saw that you created your own GPT for your business or for your personal brand. And from there on, from that GPT, you write your own content from there, not using like the general part of of ChatGPT.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to talk about this. So, I'm very big on LinkedIn as far as like understanding the algorithms, and really like I nerd out on LinkedIn. I will read about algorithms and how things are working all day long because that's the social media channel I put the most effort into. So when I thought about, okay, I want to keep things as transparent as possible. I don't want to use these automation tools because one, LinkedIn will block your account if they find out you're using it, and that is not worth, that happening. But then also like I want it to be intentional. I want the content that I write to be intentional, and I want it to be based off of what content best performed that was already written by me, as opposed to like what's going on in the news that I could capitalize off of, or like what's something controversial. I have no desire to get a bunch of likes just by going off of what's already relevant in the news, because that's most of the time it's not relevant to me at all and I don't care about it. And that comes through in my content. So how I trained my own GPT was I went to my business's analytics. I looked at the year over year impressions, best performing posts, and it breaks down, number of likes, number of comments, number of reshares, who it was. And I exported that into a CSV and I uploaded it into GPT. On the configuration
from LinkedIn
tab.
to GPT.
Yep. And I said, analyze my best performing posts. Do you understand? Yes. Great. Now create a content matrix based on the type of formatting. Is it a video, short post, long post, and the hashtag I used and the hook that I used, because the hooks are really important. That's my one rule with content writing is you always lead with the hook and then you reiterate the hook at the end. And so then I had a content matrix of 30 days of content that all I had to do was put the hook together with the topic. I had my hashtag, I had what format it was supposed to be in, and then I just had to go do it. So I'm not starting from zero. And then I actually went one step further and I started my own Google Drive. So most of the time when I'm writing, now I've gotten better about this because I do work in technology, so it was getting embarrassing. I love like actually writing. It's like a part of my thought process. I've gotten better at it though. I do type it now, but
Oh,
I
okay.
have Google Docs where I'll just kind of like go on a tangent, right? I'm like, here's something I want to talk about, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know how to shape it, but I know there's something there. And so I created my own Google Drive where each folder in the Google Drive had blogs, LinkedIn posts, Instagram posts, tweets, and all the examples of ones that I was really, really proud of on top of everything that already performed really, really well. So now it's got my creativity, and the impressions and what it's actually working. And it's not, I turned off the web browsing capabilities. So it's just being trained off of what's in my Google Drive and the directions I'm giving it. And then I have it go wild. And I just continuously every Sunday now, instead of spending 12 hours creating content, I create content matrices and then I will write the content for the whole entire week. And I'm able to create a repository. So after, every 60 or 90 days, I can start bringing that content back in and repurposing it again.
So you mean that your GPT is trained to get the data from your Google Drive, where you
Yes.
put all your well, I mean, are these the things that you put to your Google Drive? Are these your own content or the content
Yeah.
that you like? Or
No, it's all content that I've written. It's nice though because obviously everyone thinks that they're an amazing writer, so it keeps me humble. So I have all these things that I've written, and some of them have gone live on social media, some of them haven't, but then I also have the analytics and like what's actually working. So I'll have it dip into my creativity and the stuff that's on paper that might not have even made it to the screen yet, but then I'll also go off of what it knows to work and what it knows to be true.
how about the video content? Do you transcribe it and put it there, or
So my video content is kind of old school. So what I do with the video content is I love doing my power walks. So I'll take my iPhone and I'll open up my voice memo and I'll just start talking about something that I want to, a use case I want to do or a post I want to create, or just something that's on my mind. And I have a audio to text transcriber called Akio. It's free. And I will transcribe that audio to text. And then I'll take that text and I'll upload it into ChatGPT. And I'll say, using the LinkedIn hook method that I taught you to create LinkedIn posts, figure out where the bones of this story are and then show me. And, it's never like a one and done type thing. Like I never like what it shows me, but I'm able to get out of my head and have it give me something that I'm like, okay, this isn't great, but I can work with this. Otherwise, I would just be staring at this one paragraph that I want to come to life and it's just not happening. And I've wasted like an hour doing this.
Perfect. Because I'm curious, since I have also like video content, like voice content as well, it's sometimes hard to because it just gets the written content for the time being, as far as I know, right?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Like, for example, if you just give a link to the video and say that, okay, can you put some thoughts about this video? Would it be able to come up with some ideas also?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I've
I could
never
do it
tried
right now if you wanted me to.
Oh, okay. Because I was always thinking, you see, I mean, like I needed to learn something from you. Because I was always thinking it's the written content that it can transcribe at the moment. Or otherwise you have to link it to the transcriptions. Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, ChatGPT 4 Omni is amazing. I really love so I'll grab my husband's phone and I'll have my phone and I'll tell one phone that they are like, the sales persona and I'm going to give them my, financial projections or whatever. And I need it to come from a sales perspective and tell me like what advice it would give me. And then with my phone, I'm like, you're a marketing strategist. Think outside of the box of the typical, marketing funnel and give me some ideas that I haven't thought about yet. And so I'll just talk to myself like I do already every day. But now these two personas are giving me feedback from the perspectives that I told them to take on. So it's amazing.
Perfect. I have a friend. Her husband is also like training his own GPT, and then she's saying, like at night I'm sleeping and I wake up and he's talking to the phone, and I'm afraid. So these are like the fun couple stories about training LLMs. So one last question about because you work a lot with small business and you already have a small business as well, like you're growing it. How can small businesses use AI to create personalized marketing campaigns with a limited budget?
So that's a great question. I would say there's so many ways that they could do this. But again, I would probably have to go back to my formula of lead with the problem.
Hmm.
We're all incredibly gifted, but we all lack skills in one area. You just can't be good at everything. So figure out what you're good at and figure out a way to enhance that with AI so that you can do what you're good at in more places than you would be able to manually. And then find an AI that is specialized in something that you need. I always tell people, it's really interesting that there's so many different LLMs, and we're still not really shifting our perspective to say, like, okay, ChatGPT is a generalist, right? If I wanted to form a business plan, I would never go to ChatGPT. I would go to a specialized LLM that is just trained to be programmed that way with that persona and those rules. So I always try to tell people to like experiment using a generalist and a specialist to solve the same problem. And then you start to kind of understand like, oh, okay, like I get it now. This is why, I need to be really specific and use this LLM versus this LLM. So lead with the problem, lean into the curiosity, and start figuring out the strengths of these specialist LLMs versus the generalists. Because sometimes the generalists can be great, but oftentimes if you have a problem that needs fixed, it's a specialist LLM that you can find for free.
For marketing, what would be a specialist LLM look like? What are some names that comes to your mind?
So when I think of marketing problems, the first one I think about is always like data, like cleaning the data. And so I think People AI does a really great job as an LLM that
Yeah.
I would say I would consider a specialist just by capturing like those sales activities, meetings, calls, emails, and then ensuring like both marketing and sales has that same visibility and it's up to date information. And all the person is doing is like texting their CRM. I think it's amazing. Another example would be, let me think. What's another marketing problem? We have so many. Jasper's pretty good at being a specialist, I would say. It's built to be
I agree.
scrappy and lean. It's got so many templates too that like when you're in that tool, there's no doubt in your mind that it was made by marketers for marketers and it breaks up the silos. So I would say Jasper's definitely a specialist. And then a third one, I mean, Zekin, technically,
Yeah.
I would say Zekin would be one. They convert high intent prospects. That's what they do. They don't try to do a million other things.
But when you are training your own LLM with the phone, just like my friend's husband is doing, do you use ChatGPT for that or any other generalist tool?
So I primarily use ChatGPT for that just because before the memory feature was added to ChatGPT, I had a repository of 68 Google documents for my GPT. So like talk about, intentionally creating something. There was there was that many pages of it. Just I fed it all of this information about me and it was to get more speaking gigs and get more opportunities in the generative AI space. And this was I think a year and a half ago. I'm dating myself, but so I fed it all that information, and what that looked like was it was a very manual process. But I went and searched for generative AI strategist questions during interviews, and I put all the questions in, and I formed my own answers, and then I pulled in experience from different careers and how I would tackle certain problems, and I worked up to 68 pages so that when I sent my cover letter off to a recruiter, it had my GPT hyperlinked in it. So it said, hey, if you want to qualify me for this position before talking to me, I totally understand. Here's my GPT. It can answer questions for you. And if it can't answer a question, it's trained not to hallucinate. It'll just tell you to reach out to me.
Oh, that's a perfect one. I think like the other day when you were doing the using AI to do job searching on section was I didn't listen to it yet, but I think it's in terms of topic and description, it looks really nice in that sense. So to wrap up with, we are back to the usual stuff, which is like if you would recommend one book, what would it be?
What a great question. Probably The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. So it's a
Oh,
book
okay.
about empathy and emotional intelligence and just embracing who you are. I think it's really great for mothers. So, but it also helps you understand the importance of being kind to yourself and others. And I think just having a higher emotional intelligence in general is great for leadership and entrepreneurs, because that's really all it is reading rooms, having empathy, caring, and being consistent. And so if you
Yeah.
can tap into that emotional intelligence and figure out a way to, turn it on and keep it on when you need it on, then, more power to you.
And I see that you are in Raleigh, North Carolina. And is there a favorite cafe place that you go there? Because
Yes.
I like
So
coffee, and I like I love actually asking this question.
I love coffee. If I could have an IV hooked up to me and like people wouldn't look at me weird or judge me, I would. So my favorite coffee place in Raleigh is called A Place at the Table. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's the first pay what you can type of cafe. So they're very open and transparent. And the whole story is it's a woman business owner, and she grew up, volunteering in soup kitchens in Raleigh. And she saw the, lack of affordable, healthy food, and she wanted to change that. And so she's got this payment tier where if you come in, there's huge signs everywhere, you can't miss it. And it says you can pay the suggested price for the food. You can pay at least $3 for your meal. You can actually like get a card. So like think of a punch card that you would get every time you shop. You would get a punch. Well, you just get a card and you can go punch and get free meals. And there's no questions asked. No one makes you feel weird. You just get a punch card, and it's like the most, like, talk about a melting pot. It's just, like there's nothing but empathy inside of that restaurant.
And I feel like if I were there, I would be going there and supporting that business as well.
Yes.
That's really nice. I hope one day I'll be in Raleigh. I haven't been to North Carolina before at all, since I'm new to United States. So I hope to come there and visit you. But also I have another friend from LinkedIn, which is Liam Darmody. I don't know if you know him.
I do know him.
Yeah, I think he's from Raleigh,
Yes,
as far as I know. Yeah.
Yeah, he worked at Willow Tree, and I actually had so I worked for an AI company before I rolled out AI to an enterprise company, but it was like a little too ahead of its time. And so his former boss was that boss. So he left Willow Tree and went on to do something else. Liam was at Willow Tree, and then I was at the new place, and so that's how we know each other.
Oh, perfect. Small world.
Yes.
Ashley, thanks so much for joining me on this nice Friday morning. And I'm wishing you a happy weekend. And I hope to speak to you soon.
Absolutely.